Shall we?
Welcome everyone to the inaugural episode of the Release the Snyder Cut Round Tables. You can already feel the excitement.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So there's the tattoo.
Yeah,
You got the
buddy.
Batman v
Yeah,
Superman
buddy.
tattoo. You got the hat, and you got the Batcave right off the bat. So
Right off the bat.
I
Just
feel
paying a little visit to Bruce.
Tell him I
uh,
said hi.
I'm the host, and I feel like I'm letting everybody down with not having something. But you know what? It's all good. It's all good.
Manu, you good.
I appreciate that. My name is Manu. I am part of the Exiles Network podcast, and I have volunteered to be the host for the inaugural podcast of RTSC. So basically, what we're going to be getting is a slew of episodes from different hosts, different cast members from all over the world, because this movement covers the entire planet. Tonight you have two people from America, one from Dubai, one from Ecuador already, because Snyder's because Snyder's views have touched us, and we want to be here, and we want to set our narrative instead of letting others set it for us.
Well said.
Over the course of these episodes, you're going to hear many voices from people within the movement that have not gotten the chance to speak, that have not gotten the platform. And thanks to the RTSC account and to one of our guests tonight, we're getting to give those guests a chance to speak for themselves, what this movement means to them, what role they play within it, and what they want to see coming in the future.
Dope.
So, like I said, I'm Manu. I'll be the first host. Don't worry, you won't see me on every episode. This is probably just a one-time thing. There's plenty of better hosts coming in the weeks ahead, and they're gonna probably do a much better job than I will. But I'm really excited about the cast of characters that I have with me tonight. We've been talking for a little bit, getting to know each other, because we wanted to make sure that we put together people that did not know each other, so that we could make new connections, make new friendships, because I think that is the strength of Release the Snyder Cut. We're not just a group of people that want to see the movie. I truly believe that over the years, because it's been 2 years, I really believe that we've become a community. We've created bonds with each other. We've created friendships. Some people in the movement, I speak to every day off of Twitter. They have my phone number. We text and we call each other. And I'm sure that the same experience has been felt throughout the movement with so many of you. Mm-hmm. So, but tonight I am with three great men that I have only met a few minutes ago before we started recording, and it's already so great to tell that our love for Snyder's work is already creating a great bond between us, and I can't wait to get to know these guys even better. So first and foremost, I got to introduce Vega. Vega gets the introduction because we would not be here without him. He worked hand in hand with the RTSC account to make this happen. Vega, how you doing tonight? Please introduce yourself. Tell us how you came up with this idea. Come on, it's your show for now.
Well, man, first and foremost, appreciate the introduction. Great introduction.
I try. It's not my first rodeo.
And hey, you're a good host to me, man. That's what matters, all right? You're one of the greatest.
Oh, thank you.
And that's what I do actually keep up with a lot of I guess you could say, YouTubers within the movement. So I have seen a couple of you guys, like what you guys post, things you guys talk about, and that's what I mean when I said earlier, like, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have known anything of what I know now surrounding the Snyderverse and the Snyder Cut, you know. But with that being said, I'm Vega, Michael Vega. I am a CDL truck driver. That's what I do for a living. But my passion is music. So I do rap. I do produce music. An engineer. I dabble with my brother in videography and photography, but that's more of his thing. And yeah, so the creative arts is there, and I think that's also why I do have a I guess, an affinity and passion towards film because it's all within that same artistic realm, I guess you could say. And there's only, I guess, very few directors that really draw that out on the film. And I definitely feel Zack Snyder is one of those directors that can give you such a visual that'll impact you and last for like a lifetime. You know what I mean? So yeah, why are we here? The Snyder Cut. We obviously all want it. And what am I willing to do for it? You tell me. You need me to jump, I'll jump. You know what I'm saying? You need me to go cross the seas, I'll go cross the seas, man. Whatever needs to be done, Warner Brothers, AT&T, hey man, like, what you let us know. What can we do? What do you need us to do to make it come out? You know what I mean?
That's awesome. And I want to thank you because that was such a perfect segue. You talked about you need me to jump. I'm going to jump. We got the man here that actually jumped out of a plane and yelled out, release the Snyder Cut. We got that dude right here, right now. Karim, how you doing, man? Come on, introduce yourself. Tell
Hey guys, what's up?
What you about. Show them the tattoo again. Show these people the tattoo again. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That's what we hear, people. That's what we hear.
Lebanon, boy.
The greatest gladiator match.
Batman mug. He's even got the Batman mug. Oh, snap.
I had to right.
So, Karim, tell us, man, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well.
It's really early for you. So I got to say, I appreciate you so much doing this. Trying to, coordinate this was kind of crazy because, we're from all over. So thank you so much for waking up early to do this. So I really appreciate it.
Listen, it's an honor actually being with people like you here. I've never thought I'd meet people who connect with me on such a deep level without me knowing you from before, The Snyder Cut movement extends beyond the confines of a movie. It's no longer a product that we want to consume. It's become a movement, in pop culture integration. It's everywhere right now. You can see it in AFSP, you can see it with shirts, you can see it on billboards, you can see people talking about it, whether good or badly. Well, bad media is media, nevertheless. So we have to be grateful for what we have right now, and being a part of this huge movement is such an honor for me. As I said earlier, this whole thing has been put to light in my life 2 years ago, and me coming from...
Sorry, Karim, hold on. There was some feedback there. But yeah, go ahead. I think we're fine now.
Yeah. So since I come from such a tiny country, by the way, if you don't know, guys, there's 4.5 million people in my country, which is Lebanon, and we're not really exposed to the whole entertainment world outside, which is what's happening with the Snyder Cut realm. And I always felt alone. I always felt like there was nobody I can contact, nobody I can keep in touch with about these whole updates. And I always felt when I was watching the BVS movies and the DC movies that there was an element missing when you saw Justice League in theaters. And that's where it hit me. There's definitely something wrong. And when I went to Twitter and took it into my own hands and met this whole movement and saw what's been put to light, I went crazy, and I was so happy and overjoyed to see such people in my life invading this movement like that.
Awesome.
That's so well said. I think that many of us can relate to that feeling. I know I do. I know that after BVS came out, and I was just surrounded with so much negativity around that movie, and to come to Twitter and to find so much passion for it, it really opened my eyes to, you know what? You're not crazy, I think that's really what we got from it. It was this feeling that we weren't crazy because the movement has existed since the release of Justice League, but I think that the precursor was there during what some of us like to call the BVS wars, because for those of us that were on Twitter after BVS's release, it was not an easy place to be a Zack Snyder and a BVS fan. But I think that together,
he's back.
All right. But I think that together, we were able to come through it and kind of make it easier for each other. And last but not least, we need to introduce Marcelo, coming to us from Ecuador. He's chilling out in the back cave right now, so he's a lot cooler than the rest of us.
He's got the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, how you?
I just took a quick trip from Ecuador to go home. And I'll have to get back to Ecuador really soon.
So introduce yourself. Tell the people about you.
Okay, so thank you guys. My name is Marcelo Tobar. You might find me as Sin Pausa on social media. Well, I've joined Twitter because, like Karim and Manu were saying, I started to feel a bit alone. There's people around me in Ecuador who enjoy Zach's movies. But still, it was a very small circle. And seeing all the communities starting to rise on Twitter gave me the little push that I needed to get connected with all these people who also loved Zach and loved his movies. A little fact about myself. Many people talk about The Dark Knight in 2008. It was their awakening to what comic book movies could be. But as much as I enjoyed, and to this day I love The Dark Knight, for me it was on 2009 when I watched Watchmen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of the comics. I hadn't heard of them, but I remember seeing the Scream Awards trailer, and it just looked fantastic. The visuals, they're obviously unique. And although I didn't know about Zach, I hadn't seen 300 to that point. I didn't know about Zach, and I didn't know about Watchmen. Those images stuck on my mind, and I told to myself, I gotta see that movie. And also, The Dark Knight already existed. The seeing Watchmen is what made me see beyond those as simple comic book movies and start to see them as the art that they can be. So that's how I connected with Zach. It's been quite a journey from Man of Steel to this point. But as all of us are here, it's because we love this material and we know what Warner Bros. Held from us, and we fight for it. And that's about it.
Thank you very much. And I said it before and I'll say it again. I'm very happy and proud to be here with you guys tonight. Being part of this movement has been an exciting, humbling, and incredibly terrific experience. We've had many ups and we've had many downs, and I do believe that if we stay the course, that we can make a difference. And I think that we have made a difference to some extent. But
to a big extent.
Karim took the words right out of my mouth. But I'm Manu. For those of you that do not know, I'm part of the Exiles Network podcast. Our network was created because of Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman was released, and it was torn apart by critics, and then by bloggers, and then by fans of other films.
Right.
And we just didn't think it was fair. And we thought that there was a large breadth of people that loved Batman v Superman and that loved Zach's work, and just were not able to get their voices out there. And we wanted to be part of that conversation, so we created our network that's now just continues to grow. We've been around for
Film
2 years
Exiles.
now. Pardon me?
No, the Film Exiles. I love it, man.
Oh, great to hear. Thank you so
Love what
much.
you guys do.
All right, thank you. That means a lot. We've continued to grow over 2 years. We've had such great support from the Snyder Cut community because that is our community. Those are the people that we wanted to talk to, that we wanted to touch, and they have been so great in helping us get our network and our word out there. I think that we've tried our best to help to contribute to the movement's rise. We were the ones that broke that Ray Porter was originally Darkseid in Zack Snyder's cut. We broke the news about Desaad also being part of this, and we've been able to contribute, and we're glad of that, and we really hope that we'll be able to continue to do so. But we're not here tonight to talk about the Exiles Network. We're here tonight to talk about the Snyder Cut, release the Snyder Cut movement, and
Hell yes.
I'm really excited about not only this episode, but the episodes that are going to be coming in the future.
Yes.
Getting to meet new people that are in the movement, because it's crazy. We've been in this movement, all four of us, for so many years, but this is the first time I've come into contact with you, and I'm just excited to be able to do the same with so many other people from around the world. So we're going to get started. We're going to start talking about the Snyder Cut, the movement, how we feel about the movement, and what we want to see from the Snyder Cut. We're most excited to see. So my first question to you guys is, why are you part of the Snyder Cut movement? I think that we've touched on that a little bit, but I want you guys to go more in depth with it. I want you guys to tell me what this movement means to you. What does Zack Snyder's films mean to you? Why do you feel that it's something that is worth fighting for? Karim, why don't you get us started?
Okay, so basically for me, the Snyder Cut is just more than a movie for many reasons. There's one of my favorite directors, that's not Zack Snyder, by the way, it's David Lynch. He says it all starts with an idea. And his ideas, when he created a show called Twin Peaks, were compromised by studio intervention back in the 1990s. When David Lynch was supposed to compromise for the studio, he decided, I am going to leave this show and I'm going to leave the studio and never come back. 25 years later it took, as you all know, for Twin Peaks, it took 25 years for the show to return. And David Lynch requested a specific budget for his return. They did not give it and he quit again. But then after much string pulling, he decided to come back with the right budget, and he had zero intervention from the studio, and the fans, the devoted and passionate fans who waited 25 years, were rewarded with one of the best pieces of content on television, which is Twin Peaks: The Return. Enter Zack Snyder. So for me, Zack Snyder is a visual God, a masterpiece of a storyteller. And it all started for me in 2006. That was me 10 years ago, I guess. I was 10 years old and I was watching 300 in theaters. And I'm a big mythology fan, especially Greek mythology. And what I realized that Zack Snyder incorporated in Man of Steel is the mythic themes that are included in Greek mythology, and incorporated them into superhero mediums. And that's what I enjoyed the most, when you see Superman being portrayed as a mythical hero rather than just your average Joe saving cats out of trees and writing puff piece editorials about it. That's
a direct quote. That's a direct quote. Be careful, man. We don't want to get sued.
All right. But nevertheless, our world is imperfect, and from where I come from, which is Lebanon, it's a region, if you don't know, it's between Palestine and Syria, so we're always in conflict with war, famine, economic crisis, revolutions, inconsistencies, and all that. So I realized that heroes cannot be perfect in a world that's so imperfect. They need to sully their hands, and the moment they enter our world of politics, of conflicts, of problems, and of global crises, they're gonna have to get their hands dirty. They're gonna have to be put in an ultimatum. And when you look at the Man of Steel conundrum, when you see Henry Cavill just doing this to General Zod, so what? So what? Should he just let this poor family die? I've never understood this. General Zod was about to obliterate the earth from existence, and he was going to harvest the codex from Cal's body and reverse engineer the whole earth into something entirely different. He was basically going to commit genocide, and people wanted Superman to spare him. Like, I don't want to go too deep into this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just saying that I agree with Zack Snyder's imperfect view of these superheroes. This idea that superheroes have to be perfect has come from the golden age of comics back in the 90s, 80s, and 70s. But here in our age, the modern era, as we can see, nothing is perfect anymore. Nothing lasts forever. Everybody's in conflict. Everybody criticizes everybody on social media, on interviews. on television, and everybody's be judging everybody. So I think he's got the right idea about how he wants to depict his superheroes, as in heroes that are coming from the darkness and into the light, rather than bringing the light to the darkness, as opposed to the other comic book rival next door.
I
You
actually
know who
really
I'm
like
talking
what you.
about.
I actually really agree with what you just said, and that's absolutely true because Snyder didn't just bring superheroes into our world. He brought them into a world that needed them more than ever. And he used Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman as almost avatars for the things that we deal with on a daily basis. And I think that to see their journey through the darkness and into that light is a great way of reminding us that even though we might face the darkness, we can make it through and find the light as well.
Yes.
If Batman can be brought down to his lowest point, to the point that he is ready to break his one rule to not murder, to kill an innocent man, or, well, Superman. And if he can be brought down to that level and still be able to find his way back to the man that he was, why can't the rest of us? And I think that was one of his central themes, is that if these heroes can do it, so can we. That if these heroes can fall, it's okay that we do as well, as long as we keep trying and striving to find our way back.
Right.
Yes. So
Marcelo,
people,
It's such
sorry,
a
go ahead.
bigger.
and there's people who say, there's people who don't realize that Zach put in the movie dark scenes for Superman. These dark scenes are there to show you that Superman is being good despite all this power and raw strength that he has consumed inside.
Exactly.
He's making us see that a god cannot have all these omnipotent powers inside him without having some kind of internal conflict or struggle that he's going through, So we're seeing his lowest point as well, as portrayed in the Injustice universe and the Nightmare sequence, and we're seeing what would happen if Superman, God forbid, happened to pop out of rationality and into some dark void because of Darkseid and the death of Lois Lane. So what we see is a man that's harvested by the power invested in him by Jonathan Kent and Jor-El, and all the good that comes from Martha Kent and his experiences from being human, as opposed to the darkness that comes with all the power he has and all of his past related to Kandor, to Krypton, to probably Brainiac and Doomsday, and all this huge lore surrounding Krypton. Sorry, guys, I spoke too much.
My man is hyped, man. Karim couldn't wait to talk.
It's all good, bro.
But I'm
And
glad.
it's such a more heroic journey when you have them face these complex and dark situations, because we know how heroic they can be as seen in previous versions of these characters.
Right.
But what we are seeing is a much more heroic journey when they have to choose in these difficult circumstances.
Right.
And that's the thing that people don't they choose not to realize, that these are basically the same characters, or were, in the case of Batman, for example, were the same characters, but they're on a much bigger journey to become even better heroes, even in worse circumstances, worse situations that we have seen them before.
Yep.
I agree, and I think that's why it's such a shame about what happened, because we never got to see the end of those journeys. We never got to see Batman try to pay back to Superman. He said, "I failed him in life, I won't fail him in death." We never got to see that. We never got to see Wonder Woman truly coming back to the world after leaving for 100 years, and I think that we missed out on seeing the true return of Superman.
Yep.
Vega, what about you? Tell us, why does this movie mean so much to you?
Yeah, I mean, just like these guys and even yourself, I mean, there's obviously a contrast between, I guess, what we were seeing being implemented in the DCEU and what we saw in the MCU. And not that I'm complaining, like, for me, I think there's room for both. Just like in the music industry, you have your Drake, who's very commercial, loved by almost everybody. But then in that same space, and probably just as successful, you have J. Cole, who is just as influential, but his music is meant to make you think more. You know what I'm saying? It's more introspective.
Love yours, dog. Love yours.
Yeah. And so to me, that's what it is. You know, to me, MCU's like Drake. You know, they're very commercial. Just, you know, give the fans what they want, but keep it clean. Keep it, can't get too crazy with it. You know, whatever. But then when you got DC, or at least what they were supposed to do, I feel, and what they were supposed to own up to was being the opposite guy, being the guy who's not afraid to tell relative stories of real life, making these characters that we, like you guys said, are known to be mythological, godlike in their own right, but kind of like not dumbing them down, but bringing them down to the level of us, where we can now understand why they choose what they choose. So, you know, that clear distinction is why I kind of always had this, just respect or passion for DC. I just really like the storytelling that, in my opinion, did start with the Dark Knight trilogy. I felt Christopher Nolan started something there that we saw carry on even into the Snyderverse, what we see now, which is no surprise because Nolan did also work on Man of Steel.
Yeah, he did.
With Zack Snyder. And Zack Snyder actually worked with Nolan on the Dark Knight trilogy. So that's not a secret. You know, there's no secret to why their, I guess, styles of telling stories were almost similar. Or at least you could tell they were definitely working together to portray those stories the way they did. Because again, before then, it was these stories of comic book characters, and you know, everything's, you know, like you said, bringing the light into the darkness. You know, it's a different way of telling a story, and it was like, all right, cool. It's a superhero story, or what we all know, what we already know. But like once we got this Dark Knight trilogy, and then when we got Man of Steel, and then BVS, it was like, man, this is storytelling with comic book characters.
Yes.
As opposed to telling a comic book story. These aren't comic book stories. These are real life stories with comic book characters. And that's what made it more relatable to me. And what I felt, you know, in my opinion, I don't want to say better. It's not better, but for me it is. For me, it's better. My personal preference is better than what I guess saw on the MCU side. But I mean, I watch MCU too. Don't get it twisted. I have no quarrel with Marvel. You know, they do their thing, and hey, they're successful. That's awesome. I guess to answer the question fully, what really got me stuck to the movement or focused on it was, like everyone else, I saw this. It almost seemed like there was no voice for the DC universe. And anybody who was speaking on it was speaking negatively, like as if there was nobody who was really appreciating what they were seeing, which blew my mind away. Because I'm like, how do you not appreciate what Zach is bringing? Like, man, like we can really sit down, take one of his movies and break it down in so many ways. I mean, Man of Steel. It's a comic book character for sure. Superman. We all know him. We all love him. We grew up on him. But the way he told his story, it was so like Karim said, so mythological, so theological. For me, I'm big on Greek mythology too, or mythology in its whole. But for sure, Greek mythology. I was raised in a Christian home, so I have that knowledge too of like what's in the Bible and I guess the theological way of looking at the movie. And anyone who I guess knows the story of like Jesus can say, "Oh man, isn't that the same story we're seeing here with Clark Kent?" You know, because the sacrifice. You know what I mean? The sacrifice he had to make to save the world. And the way they portray like Jor-El having to send his son out into the world to save it. You get what I'm saying? Like the way, the dialogue, the way it's spoken, the way it's meant for you to...
If I can just interrupt you for a sec. You see, those are elements that are part of the first comics, action comics, all the both Jesus and Moses elements. And just because Zach brought them to the forefront doesn't mean that they weren't part of the character.
Exactly. And that's what also gets to me when people are like, oh, that, you know, Zach doesn't know the source material. What do you mean? Like, what comics have you been reading? What animated series have you been watching? It clearly hasn't been the one that DC's been dropping out, because if it is, would have been able to say, oh no, this is source material. This is very much source material. Just that he tells it his own way, you know. But visually, oh my God, his visuals. It's like he takes the comic book page and then puts it in motion in the camera. And it's just sick to me. I appreciate that stuff as a fan of film, but also as a fan of those characters. And yeah, that's why I'm here, man. I'm here to be a voice for the movement and hopefully get more people to see and know about what's going on. But I also truly believe, like myself, there's just a lot of people that just don't know or didn't know. Because I'll be honest, like, it surprised me when I saw that, oh, wait, there is a fan base that actually likes these films, because it was so quiet. You know, and maybe it was due to the timing of things. Maybe maybe it was the time that those movies came out. Social media was barely getting its start, and maybe MCU fans and whatever, and I say that just because it seemed like they really hated the DCU at first, but you know, it seems like only they had control of the internet, and I guess they were controlling the narrative, and like Marcelo said, like, I really felt like, man, am I really the only guy who likes these movies? You know, like, so yeah, coming onto Twitter, and then, you know, 2 years later, you know, or maybe a year later, realizing, holy cow, there's people. Okay, I'm not crazy. You know what I'm saying? I see what they see. They see what I see. We're on the same page here.
On the same page.
You know, so let's get these voices heard. Let's let Warner Brothers and DC know that they actually have fans that actually appreciate what they do and what they've done, at least till the point of Justice League.
Yeah, at least up to that point.
Yeah, at least up to that point, for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least for sure up to that point, because even though, like, despite, I guess, what we may know that may have happened behind the scenes throughout the production of, you know, MOS and BVS and Suicide Squad, at least they still put out those movies, you know, and we still got them. They, at least, I guess, despite the contrary wave that was coming their way, they, I guess, at that point still decided to stand firm on releasing those movies, you know. So you can't really knock them all the way, but I'll definitely knock them, or whoever's decision it was to give us that Justice League. You know, like, you came out of that movie knowing, like, man, that I'm not sure if that was a Snyder film. I'm really
exactly. I hear you. Yeah. The way I kind of approach it, to me, is like, if doing the right thing was easy, anyone would do it. Mm-hmm. And I think as Marcelo said it best, it's a greater journey to see our heroes start from not their best and try to see them grow into that. I think, for me, Batman's journey in Batman v Superman is probably one of the best Batman stories we've ever gotten. To see a broken down Batman who's been at it for 20 years, who's lost Robin, who his body is covered in scars. Wayne Manor is torn down. He's torn down. Like, it's kind of like, you know, the manor itself is a representation of how he feels within. And we see this man trying to make sense of his world. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I think that we can all relate to. Like, I think that we all feel powerless at times. We all feel weak at times. We all feel like there's nothing that we can do to affect change.
Yes.
And when Justice League came out, I think that those feelings were even more exasperated, because so many of us had been yelling from the top of our lungs, like, we love BVS, we love BVS, we love it, we love it, we love it. And Justice League comes out, and it kind of felt like all of our yelling and all of our screaming kind of fell on deaf ears.
Yeah.
And that's why this movement is so important, and seeing it grow over the years has been so exciting because they can't ignore us anymore. And the more voices that we have, the more voices that we highlight, the stronger we become, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Awesome. So my next question is, like, let's to talk about the actual movement.
Mhm.
It's really incredible the things that this movement has done, not just for the Snyder Cut, but for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which is a core part of what we're doing.
Yeah.
You can't talk about the Snyder Cut movement without bringing in the AFSP, from the T-shirts, the T-shirt events, to the direct donations that so many of the fans have done, as well as the money that's been raised to get some of the bigger events that we've got to do, because those events, they need more capital. And
Mhm.
the idea of using half of that money that is raised towards the event and the other half to donate it to AFSP, I think that makes our message that much stronger, that much
Yep.
harder to ignore. So out of all of the displays that you've seen from this movement over the last few years, which of them have excited you the most, or which you have gotten the best response from you? Marcelo, get us started on this one.
Well, as part of the movement, the one that we must be the most proud of is obviously the AFSP, because it's not only a good cause by itself, but it's a cause that is important to SAC. And connecting a bit with the previous question, those characters are characters that I love, but I don't know if it's the lawyer in me that feels there is an injustice happening to SAC, the way people outside the movement see him or talk about him, and that made me more of a fan of him. So if the AFSP is something that he cares about, that's something that gives me joy, that we are contributing to that. And if there's one thing that is always in a corner in my mind, is that I always think about the billboard that people made for
Yeah.
the billboard that people made for James Gunn to go back to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh.
That had no contribution. People were just hoping for him to come back without doing anything else besides that same purpose.
Right.
And that was a one-time thing. While us, as the Snyder Cut movement, we've done it once and again and over again. And because of the way part of the public still sees the SAC and the DCU that he was creating, we haven't received the proper attention and care that we should have received when we keep pushing more goals forward, but also helping so many people through those foundations and donations.
Yeah.
So that's one of the, I mean, AFSP is the most important thing that probably we have done.
I agree, and to mention to date, I think we have raised a little over $171,000 for the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. I think that's it's an amazing achievement, and we're not done. We're not done. There's still plenty of stuff that's coming down the line. I know that you guys saw in recent weeks the wristbands. I don't know if you guys got those.
Just a little thing, like even when we're just having fun, when the Snyder Cut guy showed up on the Harley Quinn show, even when we were just having fun, let's say with him, we turned that into a good cause.
Yes,
the shirts that that the movement started to make, it turned into a good cause. So
I agree.
We'll keep that rolling.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
So there's the wristbands that have been out. I really love the latest one, which is the masks.
The face mask.
The face mask. To try to combat COVID-19. I ordered mine right away. I didn't even wait. I ordered mine, and I can't wait to get it and to just rock it outside. It's a beautiful, beautiful design, and just again, I tip my hat off to the account and to whomever. I'm sorry, I'm not exactly sure who it is. I think it was Alexandro. I'm not exactly sure who led that, but it's a wonderful idea, and I can't wait to get it. And I hope that you guys order yours as well. Kareem, what about you? What has been the push, the event, the thing that the Snyder Cut movement has done that has excited you the most, that you feel has gotten the most reach?
Well, to be honest, let me start by saying every event we've done, I'm very grateful for because it has turned a vocal minority, which was considered on the internet by the big guns that they are toxic, they are nobodies, they were marginalized. I really like that all the donations and all the events have turned us into a commendable force to be reckoned with. That's a first. Second of all, it gave us much respect that's needed, a lot of insight, and it gave us credibility, and it showed the industry what it means to tackle issues such as mental health and suicide prevention in a ever expanding medium that is Hollywood, that disregards and overlooks every sense of diseases or illnesses or sicknesses that might arise people that work in the industry, or the people that perform in this industry. So for me, the AFSP is a much needed thing that we worked on. It's the most crucial of things, and not just for Zach, for every person suffering from of suicides, from a family member who has suicided, or friends that have endured this horrible thing in their lives. And I'm really grateful that we have acknowledged this and put this at the forefront of our movement. It's very important for people to know that underneath all these cameras, these movies, these blockbusters and productions, there is life, and life is so fragile and easy to lose. And we should always look out for one another in this real world that we live in. Yeah.
That's so well said, Kareem. You're absolutely right. Thank you again for your beautiful words. Like it's like you touched me right there, dog. Like careful. we still got a ways to go. I can't start tearing up right here. We still got a ways to go.
Right. My glasses on. I got hold on.
Yeah, man. Like I'm getting all fogged up. Vega, what about you? Same question.
I guess I'll piggyback off these guys and just say that it's exactly what they said, man. You know, first and foremost, every event has made its mark within the timeline of this movement. And every time we do something great in it, you know, like Kareem said, it just brings in more people into the know. It gives them a voice. Like I said in the beginning, I really feel like there's still a portion of people that might not know we're here, you know, and that we do love these films, and they actually do love these films. So yeah, every time we do an event, I really feel it does make a difference. But obviously, for sure, I think the most commendable thing for sure is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. When I myself learned about that, like that's what we were doing, it just gave me greater purpose. You know, I'm like, wow, this is, and I'll be honest, that was actually my deciding factor. That was my deciding factor. To be just completely honest, transparent. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was for the movie. But you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, it's just a movie, man. You know, will they even give it to us? I don't know, you know, because I'm not sure how those things work, you know. And but when I saw that the movement and that Zack Snyder himself was I guess you could say working together with the AFSP, and it just at that moment I just realized, like, man, this is much more than just a movie, and that's actually what led me to find out more. And then obviously that's when I started coming across all this other knowledge about, you know, what was happening behind the scenes and all this stuff and what could be done and what the movement's doing. And that's when I realized how real this is and how very possible all this could be, that we could actually accomplish these things. And yeah, man. So yeah, it definitely was the AFSP thing that really got me on board, because it just, something about that just seemed right, you know. I mean, because we all know what happened with Zack Snyder's daughter, and that for sure is, wow, you know, just tragic. And my condolences to him for that. And it's not easy to lose someone you love, but obviously the fact that for him, for Zack Snyder, it wasn't just about him. And he realized that there was a movement and fans that, love him, but that also support him in this tragedy that happened, and how we just somehow turned it into good. That in itself is the hero's journey.
That's
so
well said. That's well said.
yeah,
Damn.
so
This cast is great.
so we're all, in the end of the day, I think I seen this on Twitter. I want to say it was Meg who put this up. I think I don't remember who it was, but in the end of the day, someone put like, we're all heroes. We really are all heroes. All those that are participating in this, really going out of their way to get the word out, beyond just the movie, realizing that, hey, there's this AFSP thing that we're also handling that we want to get out there, man, because there really are people out there, struggling with mental health, depression, and all these things. So yeah, it's an amazing thing, man. I that's probably one of the things that I'm most proud of, for the movement, that I'm glad we actually became a part of and are doing. Yeah,
I agree with all three of you. I think you guys are absolutely right. I think that one of the greatest things that we've done is to be able to help out the AFSP. It was to be able to reach out to so many people who needed a hand to get through their daily struggles. And I really feel that in raising this money that we have been able to do that.
yes.
But if I'm going to be perfectly honest, it's the New York City Comic-Con billboard.
Ooh, yes,
I still can't. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I could it was just something so completely and absurdly surreal.
Yeah.
It was in I lived in New York for a number of years. I've walked down that street I can't even tell you the number of times. And
Crazy.
to see a billboard that this movement have came together to pay for and to design,
Yes.
Chris Dawson.
It suddenly became tactile.
It's like we're here. You cannot ignore this. We're in Times Square. Zack Snyder's face was in the middle of Times Square with the words, "It's done."
Yes.
How can you ignore that? How many people walked down that street that day and saw that? How many tweets and retweets and pictures did we see online of it circulating? And Lord knows that Warner Brothers saw that. They saw that.
They did.
I was on such a high that day. I was so happy, so grateful. We had done so many other things for the San Diego Comic-Con. We had the plane banner. We had the bus banner as well.
Yep.
So many events. It was like a ground crew that was there as well. There's so many cool things that this movement has done. But that billboard, I think that it just touched something in me. I was like, yo, the way that I'm feeling right now, I'm going to want to feel that again and again and ever it needs. I'll jump out of a plane if that's what it takes to get that feeling again. And we got to talk about the FA Cup as well. I'm a huge soccer fan. I'm a huge football fan. That's where my name is derived from. Manu is short for Manchester United. That's my squad. And to see, our name, because that's how I see it. That's our name. That's all of us. It's not. It's all of us. To see that flashed through across the TVs across the world, that was also very, very exciting.
That was dope.
Yeah, it really was. So I love the people in this movement, how passionate they are, how creative they are, how enterprising they are. And that's really what you can't forget. It's it's people. Yeah. It's people, and everybody is giving of themselves, and I think that's the thing that I love the most. It's given an opportunity for many people to kind of find themselves and to find things that they didn't think they were good at, but that they found out that they were, or a way to display their skills. Ramesh's incredible designs have been all over the world by now, and I'm so happy and excited for him. Chris Dawson also helped out with that billboard, and and Ronaldo and everyone that continues to contribute and give more and more of themselves, not only to the Snyder Cut but also to the AFSP, as well as to the boost that it gives to everybody who follows the movement. Like that's the thing. Like when I see others succeeding and doing great things, it excites me as well. You know, and I think that it's like I feel like I'm surrounded by heroes, and I want to thank everybody that's ever given anything, like whether it's you know, a retweet or you know, or talking about the movement or drawing or a design or whatever, or participating in the contests, in the poster contest. All of these things, like I think that all of these things play into such a larger tapestry, and like I'm just excited to see what it is that we do next.
Yeah.
And when you think back, there was basically the first time there was this small group of people that went in costume outside Warner Bros.
I remember,
and many people made those articles about talking about, oh, they're such a small group and they won't even get noticed. But you think from that moment to now, today, and everywhere there is a convention, there's now a Snyder Cut people in there. And it's changed.
Yeah. It really has. It really has. It's really hard to fight that idea that, you know, we're not just like a small band anymore. You know, we are here. Like, you know, hear us roar and all that stuff. So we have seen and heard plenty about the cut from the original leaks that we saw from the Ancient Ascendant. I forgot. I'm sorry. From the original leaks that we saw that were blasted on social media, interviews with the cast and crew, telling us about that the movie that was released in theaters was not the movie that they worked so hard on. But most importantly, Zack Snyder himself has been so generous with the pictures that he's been sharing with us to keep our excitement high. Like, I feel that sometimes when things are slow and you know, I think some people kind of, you know, lose a little bit of faith, that those pictures it kind of reunites passion and excitement in the movement, you know. So I think that there's so many things about the cut that we've seen, or that we feel that we'll see when we eventually get to see it. Mm-hmm. What is it that you guys are most looking forward to seeing in the Snyder Cut? Vega, start us off. Like, what is it about the Snyder Cut that you want to see the most?
Man, what don't I want to see from that? You know what I mean?
I just want to see the credits, man.
Yeah. That's all I want to see. Man, you know, and okay, I'll tell you what. The one thing that really, really blew my top off, and that's that everything did. Don't get me wrong. Like, you know, when you find out, what, we were supposed to get black suit Superman? You know, when you find out Green Lantern was supposed to be in there. But the one that really got me, if I'm going to be super honest, was when we found out Martian Manhunter was in there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No way. Yeah. No way. And then to find out it was General Swanswick this whole time, I'm like my mind just, right, you know? And I'm like, this can't be like, and then, you know, I don't know about you guys, but when he revealed that, you know, that guy was Martian Manhunter, I was like, I gotta watch Man of Steel all over. I gotta see if there was something that was foretelling of this, you know. And sure enough, I'm sure you guys kind of like peeped the same thing. But when you see, you know, Superman in that interrogation room and General Swanswick in the other room, you know, and, you know, Superman starts walking up. Everybody else in the, you know, the soldiers behind General Swanswick, like, all like, oh, snap. Mm-hmm. But General Swanswick just stays there like, what's up, homie? Yeah. round, bro. I'm an alien too.
And you have to wonder if at that point Superman knew and he just chose not to tell everyone, because obviously it was a secret to the military.
Right.
So, because obviously he was seeing through the clothes, he saw the things that were on the doctor's pockets. Mm-hmm. So he could have seen through the organism of Swanswick.
But if I'm correct, if I'm correct, I thought the same thing too. But then looking into like exactly how Martian Manhunter's shape-shifting works, he changes everything. So like from the outside to the inside. So it will like if Superman was looking in, he would see normal heart, normal lungs. It would look like a human. That's how I guess complex Martian Manhunter's shape-shifting abilities are. You know?
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's the I didn't know that. That's
even down to the DNA.
Yeah.
So like if he wanted to turn himself Kryptonian, he could technically. You know what I mean? So there's that.
I had no idea. That's pretty cool. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Martian Manhunter is one of my guys, man. I feel he's like one of those overlooked guys, you know, like underrated for sure.
All right, Karim, what about you?
So let me just start by saying the Kryptonian world that was built in Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, how our Earth was invaded by this technology. I wanted to see the contrast in the Snyder Cut with Apocalypse, the apocalyptic tech, Darkseid's instruments, weapons, ships, the planet, because Zack Snyder gives so much detail to Krypton, like the central core and the codex and a registry of citizens. So I'm just curious to see what's his vision of Apocalypse. And I'm such a big fan of villains. I always root for the villain no matter what, not in real life. Just in yeah, definitely. Yeah. So also I have this huge fascination with Lord Darkseid, even before Thanos, before anything. I watched him in Smallville. I know Smallville is a low-budget show and it has a lot of commercial value in it, but it was my first reference and introduction to Superman. So in season 10, when I saw Darkseid, Desaad, Granny Goodness, and Glorious Godfrey all lining up to take on Superman, and then I realized Zack Snyder was going to do this with his own visual flair and touch, I was going crazy because I knew I was going to get what I wanted, because Zack Snyder always delivers what we truly want. And I love foreshadowing as well. So the fact that we were going to see Darkseid and Apocalypse for just a tiny bit of a second and tease us for 2 years to come what's actually going to go down between these heroes and villains was what excited me the most, you know? And to just add the cherry on top, Zack Snyder's movies would not be Zack Snyder's movies without the music in them. They're like synchronized to the visual in a way that's amazing. I don't know if you've listened to the arcade theme song in Man of Steel, the extended album.
Once or twice.
Yeah. So the sound of the world engine, the way it just imagine this with apocalyptic tech. Just imagine what kind of sounds Junkie XL and Hans Zimmer and Zack Snyder were preparing for us. Yeah, so that's me.
See, now I'm hyped all over again, man.
I know, man.
Marcelo, what about you, man?
Well, there's two specific things that are the ones that I care most about. And it's first, just like when we went to see BBS on theater, and once you see the Ultimate Cut, you finally see all the pieces connecting properly. I want to have that same feeling with the Snyder Cut. I want to have that cohesive feeling of watching the movie and everything connecting and making sense. Right. But while as much as Zach has shared with us, and I love every pick that he shares, the thing that I care about, like Karim was saying, is the sound and music. Because, look, I love Danny Elfman's work on Spider-Man, but I just can't stand his work on JL. It's just so generic.
Yeah, it didn't
did not anything.
Yeah.
So I know that when we get to hear Tom Hunkelberg's work, I know it will be not only a different experience, but the proper experience that meshes with what we are seeing on the screen.
Sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to add that we do have confirmation through Screen Rant that Junkie XL score for Justice League was completed before he left the project.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I read it on Twitter when you guys actually talked about it. I'm pretty sure it was you.
It was Screen Rant that confirmed it. I think that they got to speak to Jinky.
Well, I meant when the Film Exiles were doing posts about it.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
We came across
Yeah.
information.
Well, we're glad that we got to help you out on that one.
So, well, we get to see snippets from Zach on Vero. What I'm interested in is in what I can hear, and that we don't know about it.
Wow.
All right. You guys brought up some great things. Martian Manhunter, the music, and all the details of the apocalyptic technology. But I think that what I was looking forward to the most in the Snyder Cut, and even more now after we got to see some more pictures, is Cyborg, his arc within the story. Snyder said that he was the heart of this movie, and we didn't get that in the movie that we saw.
Yeah.
And that's terrible for me because I love the Cyborg character, and I freaking love Ray Fisher. I think that Ray Fisher is the man. Like he's awesome.
Yeah.
He seems like such a great, kind person, and his support for Zach has been exemplary. When he went to Comic-Con and he ripped the shirt and he had the "I love Zack Snyder" shit underneath, like I pumped my fist.
Right.
And like honestly, I just want him to have an opportunity to showcase his talents. He's supposed to be this great theatrical actor, and his voice, he has this voice that's so commanding and so unique.
Yes.
And I want so bad for everyone to get to see just how talented he is. And it's such a shame because I really believe that movie would have skyrocketed him into like this whole other level.
Oh man!
And he got that taken away from him. So I want not only to see what Zack Snyder intended for Cyborg, but I want to see that performance from that performer as Ray Fisher. And I've read some of his interviews, and he just seems like such an intelligent, well-spoken person. He talked about the relationship that they were trying to build between himself and Ezra Miller's Flash. And I have those quotes saved somewhere, and I hope that you guys go and find them. But it was really talking about, and he was like teasing what was coming after Justice League, because like that's the thing. We didn't just lose Justice League. We lost everything that was coming after. We lost JL2. JL3. We lost Rick Famuyiwa's Flash movie. Rick Famuyiwa is one of my favorite directors of all time. I love The Wood. I love Dope. And I was so looking forward to what he was going to do with The Flash, including the fact that Ray Fisher's Cyborg was meant to be in that movie along with Kyrese Clemens' Iris West. And I think that this movie, the Justice League movie, Zack Snyder's cut, was not just going to be one incredible movie, but it was going to springboard into so many other directions, so many other stories that we never got to see. And I think that it's heartbreaking and that it's sad, and that at least if the Snyder cut is released, we will get to see these things that we just talked about. And there's so much more in there. There's Batman's arc, there's Aquaman's arc, there's Wonder Woman's arc, there's and I really believe that Snyder is one of the best directors to do something like this. We saw what he was capable of doing in Watchmen with an ensemble, and I was really excited to see what he was going to do with all of these characters to play with. And another thing that we haven't even talked about, I wanted to see these guys kick ass, because if there's one thing
definitely
Snyder does, it's action. Like his action scenes are ridiculous. So, and it hurts that I don't think that we fully got to see Justice League running all cylinders. And I think that it would have been something just like that we had never ever seen before. It would have been fantastic to see Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, Superman, Cyborg, Martian Manhunter, the Green Lanterns fighting parademons. Like, and that's the cool thing. Like parademons, like it gives the opportunity for all of these heroes to showcase their powers and their prowess. And again, we didn't get to see that. I want to see all of that. Marcelo, go ahead, man.
Yeah, like a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month, Stark actually answered to me on Vero, and I was asking him about the tactical batsuit and how when we see the theatrical cut, it's like he puts it on but doesn't do anything particular with it.
Yeah.
And he got to answer to me, and he told me that once he gets that suit, we would get to see Batman kicking all kinds of parademon ass. And that's one thing that obviously was missing from the movie. We barely got any Batman action in the end sequences.
And we got to see him smile, though. Like, he looked really happy when Superman showed up. Like,
I was like, no, they didn't.
Did it feel like Batman had a crush on Superman? The way his cheeks were reddish because of the red filter they put on him, and his cheeks were so much bigger than usual. And he's like, Clark. That was so weird.
It really caught me off guard. I can't lie.
It was something you
to
see in
that
the cartoons.
little. Sorry. Go ahead, Vega.
So my
I was going to say that. That whole smile thing, you see it in the cartoons, but I feel like it's like, my personal opinion, I felt DC did a good job, at least up to that point, where like you see the transition from like comic book to animation, from animation to live screen, and the fact that there was that difference, I felt that was more appreciative, as opposed to let's give you a comic book accurate movie or like straight out the comic book, kind of ordeal, or we got to give them that lighthearted, cartoony vibe. And it's like, no, you don't have to do that. This is live film. This is movie theater. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to do that. Like, adults are going to watch this, So when I saw that, I'm like, they done played this thing, you know what I mean? Like, censored the crap out of it. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like, it was so out of character. It was just so out of character. Especially when you go from that BVS tone Batman
to and I don't even bleeding Batman.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I do. I was like, whoa! It so cut me off guard. I was like, that's so crazy.
And he was kind of a rude person to Diana. He's like, did Steve Trevor tell you that? Why the hell would you bring up a dead person?
They threw Steve Trevor into every single Wonder Woman scene like that they could. Like, oh, I know a man that would have loved to fly that ship. Like, every chance that they got, they reminded you that Steve Trevor was in Wonder Woman. Like, it was like, oh, God.
And you obviously see the intention behind that scene. He was trying to recreate that same scene that he did in the first Avengers. But the thing is, when he did that on Justice League, it didn't contribute to the relationships between the characters, really. And it didn't contribute to their goal either.
Exactly.
So it was just added for recreation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I completely agree. So my next question was going to be about if you guys had any ideas that would help the movement. I don't want to put anyone on the spot. So before I ask it and it ends up in the final edit, have you guys had time to think about it? Is there something that you guys think? Because if not, we can just skip that question.
I'd like to say this. As we get closer to the apparent release of the Snyder Cut on HBO Max or wherever it gets released, from, let's say, the Latin American Warner Bros. Accounts, I've seen more and more people starting to comment about the Snyder Cut, and I've seen more people getting interested or curious about it. So whatever you guys and all the people that have been a part of the movement have been doing, it's working.
Right.
Yeah, we might have some small ups and downs here and there, but at the end of the day, we are achieving our goal. And however it's been done so far, it's brought people together like us, and it's bringing progressively more people that even if they weren't aware of the Snyder Cut as we were after getting out of the theater, they know about it now. They can search about it, and they nowadays get more accurate information about the movement instead of how when you try to search about it 2 years ago, it was harder to find information. So being part of this movement and all the people that are part of this movement, it's both a blessing and a joy, and it's working, and we have to be proud and happy about it.
Yes.
Awesome. I agree. What about you, Karim? Is there anything that you feel about
yeah. So from what I've seen on Twitter, what we need is a little bit of organization, in the sense that let's put all this energy into places that are productive. Sometimes I see us stepping out of line, not us specifically, but a lot of people. I mean, like, why do you want to put your nose in Marvel fan bases? Why do you want to compare everything to Marvel? Marvel is such a successful plan that worked well for a large audience, and it appeals to everyone. Just let's leave them alone. Let's leave them out of our comparisons and our daily tweets. Like, BVS is 100 times better than, for example, Endgame. Why do we have to make this comparison? Like, we all agree that it is because of our personal bias, but at the end of the day, a $2 billion movie disagrees with us, right? So why do we want to put our noses in things that are not productive to our movement? Our movement is about Zack Snyder, his cause, his movie, and our love for DC. So another thing I should add to that, I'm sorry I'm talking a lot, but I have to. So another thing I hate and I feel antagonized about this is that I'm a person, as much as I love Zach, and here I got the tattoo for BVS, but and as much as I like his interpretation,
show it again.
Nice.
So
man.
So as much as I like his interpretation of the DC Extended Universe, that does not mean that we should bash and curse and humiliate directors who are only being paid to direct movies for DC currently. For example, Shazam. Sure, it's not the most philosophical of films or a thematic film deep with complex thoughts and methodologies, but still it's a heartfelt, emotional movie that some people enjoyed. And we have to give Warner Brother just a little bit credit. We have to play ball with them. We can't just harass every single post they do. Okay, they messed up with Justice League. We all agree on that. But if you look at it that way, they are rebooting Batman because they know they messed up. They just can't bring back Ben Affleck, you know. They just can't hold him and tell him, hey, Ben, let's bring you back. And just hold. That's business. And in the industry, things must go on. But they are expanding. They are connecting the dots. From what I see, I know that doesn't answer the question, but I promise you, and I have this very big feeling that when Black Adam comes out and Shazam 2 comes out, the third Shazam movie will basically be Shazam, Black Adam versus Superman, or Superman, Shazam versus Black Adam, just like the animation movie. I think they have this idea in mind, and they want to plan this whole thing around this universe eventually, not now. So I think they have this disjointed plan, this abstract plan that's not yet come into fruition. So we have to at least give them a little bit of credibility and respect on Twitter, at least if we can spread awareness about suicide and creative arts about Zack Snyder. Why can't we just contain our tweets and make them more respectable, more productive, and more intuitive to the content we care about? Let's stop looking at our noisy neighbors that are Marvel. Marvel are always going to be expanding. They're 10 years, 20 years ahead of us. They've planned phase 6 and 7, I bet you. And we can't even manage phase 1, and we're out there giving critiques to Marvel. We can't do that, man. We have to respect our enemies and build like a healthy relationship with our other fan base. Maybe then the other fan base would join us and see, oh, hey, these Snyder bots or Snyder cultists or Snyder fans actually are becoming less toxic. Let's join them for a good cause. That's all.
Snyder Cultist is my personal favorite. I really like Cultist. I think that's just awesome.
And connecting with Karim's thoughts, we have to remember what Zach said on the Snyder Con. where he said that he enjoyed the Marvel movies. It's just that we have to be open to all the different kind of options that we have on the market. And that goes both ways. Like, if we can enjoy certain Marvel movies, because, for example, I don't enjoy each and every one of them, but there are many that I really like, we should strive to motivate the other side to also respect. I mean, it's hard, I know, but if we can try to respect the other side while fighting for our cause, we should try to envision them also doing the same, like Zach's desires, that we have to enjoy all the options that we have on the market. Luckily for us, there are different options, and that's about it.
Right. All right, Vega, what about you, man?
Well, I mean, I guess, these guys definitely touched on what it was I felt I was going to touch on a bit of, which was pretty much just, one and foremost, is like, yes, we're already actually doing great with the movement. And obviously, people are finding out about Zack Snyder's cut and all that. So it's definitely, we're definitely doing a good job with what we are doing positive. But like, I guess to piggyback, it clearly, there seems to be, I don't know if it's like a bitterness in a lot of fans, within the fandom, and I get it. I get the passion. I get that you feel wronged by a studio or a company. I get that you also probably feel that they did Zack Snyder wrong, and you're right on all accounts. We're right. You're right. We're all right. That's true. But as Karim said, and Marcelo, is just that we have to play ball here. And in the end of the day, Warner Brothers does own DC. So they are, and AT&T owns them. So you know what I mean. So we gotta play ball here. I don't think it was ever Warner Brothers' intention to intentionally screw us over or do wrong by us. I don't think that was the overall intention. Maybe there was people in Warner Brothers that had foul, intentions. That doesn't mean the whole company was foul. Because if that's the, I guess, merit we're judging it by, then when everybody says RTSC is toxic, well, they're going based off of an individual that they see as toxic, and now they brand the whole, or they see the whole brand that way, I guess, the whole movement. And, it isn't fair for those that aren't on that level, that aren't really trying to be toxic. It isn't fair for those that are just trying to stay positive, get the message through in a positive way. As Karim said, try not to look at what the other guys are doing. Just focus in on what you want done. And I think we'd see a lot more success there. Because in the end of the day, it's not just about one, we want to convince people or have people see what happened with the Snyder Cut, but two, we want to also convince the studio that, what, these guys are being nice about it. They're not, they've been reasonable, you know what I'm saying? Because clearly they have their own slate, their own plan. I agree with Karim. I definitely see something happening with the Black Adam thing going into the future. Whether it's that they want to paint him to be the big bad, which I guess could work. I mean, Black Adam has done that before in the past. But if you go there, I really hope you just release the Snyder Cut first.
Do whatever you want to do, but just give us the cut, right? Do what you want to do. Like,
and then and I know we all. I know I've seen Apocalypse War. I'm pretty sure you've all seen it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
Me neither.
Okay.
And the people that watch it might not have yet. So let's pump the brakes on the spoilers.
Okay. But to just, I guess, wrap that up. There's definitely Warner Brothers and AT&T and whoever's in charge of the DCEU. They clearly have their own plans and things that they, I guess, thought they were going to do to reshape I don't want to say reshape, because I still haven't even really seen that, even though that's what everybody keeps saying. Different directors for sure have different I guess styles, so that we see. But as far as like storyline, Aquaman still mentions Steppenwolf. Shazam has a Batarang that's the same batarang that Batman uses, and it talks about Superman. We see Superman. So clearly, there's still this intention of making it a cohesive universe. I think, maybe they just don't know where to go because the fans are so indecisive on where we want to go. And what I mean by that is we're so divided.
Yeah,
the DC fan as a whole is divided.
Yeah, I agree. And you can't make everybody happy. And I think
you can't make everybody happy.
And I think that they still don't know how to make anyone happy at all right now. So
but I feel if we do our part, and this is where I feel this is where we come in. This is where I feel we come in. I feel if we do our part to just to connect with the whole fan base without attacking. I think if the message is, hey man, look, you clearly have what you wanted out of Superman, maybe what you wanted out of Batman, and 9 times out of 10, if you wanted it, that means you already have it. You know what I mean? Like, it's already exists. So if you really want that, you could always go back and, hey, I like those films too that you used to like, but this is another version of storytelling. This is a new story. Can we get this? Can we all just be happy? Can we all eat our piece of the pie, and just all get along?
And that's what I believe should be part of when the Snyder Cut movement, let's say the Snyder Cut Twitter account might interact with people, is helping people understand that their Christopher Reeve interpretation already exists, and that character will always be part of the Superman mythos. What we have is not a version that erases that previous version.
Exactly.
It's a different interpretation. Yeah. It's a different option to what we already have. We, the people that enjoy those versions, are not asking people to forget the previous ones. Right. We're just giving them the option to also see a different interpretations of these 80 plus years characters.
Thank you.
That's well said. I really appreciate all of your perspectives on this, the ideas that you guys brought forth. I think that it's a true message of unity across the fandom, and like I said a number of times, together we're stronger together, right? If we're able to find ways of building connections and building relationships with each other and helping each other to see our perspectives and accepting others, we can only grow stronger. And again, that's one of the reasons why we're doing this tonight. And I really appreciate what you guys have said, and I think that's going to resonate with a lot of people, not just in the fan base, but outside of it. I mentioned it earlier about, the plans for the DCEU past Justice League. There's no guarantee that we'll see any of it. So if we do get the Snyder Cut, will you be satisfied? Or will that just make us even hungrier for the rest of that vision? Marcelo, tell me, how do you feel about that?
There's 2 alternatives for me. The first alternative would be that, let's say they release the Snyder Cut on HBO Max and it's a success. And that leads to some form of continuation. Obviously, since Zack has clarified this, not his original JL2 and 3 plans, but gives a chance to continue his own ideas forward. That's, of course, if that's what Warner Bros. Wants, and if the releasing the Snyder Cut is as successful as we want it to. Mm-hmm. Or the other option, which let's say on Warner Bros. Mind would be a bit more convenient. The additional photography that Zack plans to do for Justice League redirects the ending of his Snyder cut of the Zack Snyder Justice League into a different path. Not the one that they were planning after the theatrical cut, neither the one that they were planning before releasing the Snyder Cut, but a new path that will lead to to Henry Cavill returning, for example, and that gives us a clearer path forward for us as fans. Like you guys were mentioning before, understanding what their plans are. So even I would just like to have those 2 alternatives. Either keep the same idea. Don't worry. Keep the same ideas from Zack's original plan and go forward if it's proven to be a success, or best case second scenario, redirect the story. do small alterations that gives us a clearer path forward, while Zack concludes his vision with his Snyder Cut being released.
Yeah.
Karim, what about you?
Yeah. So for me, Marcelo said three options, and I guess I have the same idea in mind. The difference is that I'm actually starting to accept the fact that the Snyder Cut is all I need so I can move on. I don't think we will, to be honest, in this business or in this industry, see any future Justice League continuation of the Snyder Cut, and I'm pretty much looking forward to the new continuation of the DCEU. I mean, the DC universe as we know right now, the one that's coming into fold, the Pattinson movies, the Black Adam movies. It's only because I think they're slowly learning from their mistakes, and they don't want to announce any big movie event like Justice League or Injustice or anything, because they're keeping everything under wraps for once, taking everything slowly and steadily, building small movies, B-list villains, B-list heroes, all the way until they have an actual universe with such a diversity of characters and strength in storytelling. And they would have managed like 3 Shazam movies, a Black Adam movie, a trilogy of Wonder Woman movies, a trilogy of Aquaman movies by 2026. I'm guessing a Flash movie is underway by Andy Muschietti, who's one of my favorite directors of all time. So I'm excited to see what they learn from their mistake and what they have to offer. And if I would go with my third option, just like Marcelo, but with a little bit of twist, is that I've always envisioned Zack Snyder's universe of the DCEU as the Injustice universe, since Flash goes back in time and warns Bruce Wayne about Henry Cavill, Superman's imminent turn to the dark side. I can kind of imagine the main timeline, the one we're about to watch, the one with Pattinson, the new Aquaman, Wonder Woman, a possible Supergirl movie that's been rumored. All these movies combined, they make Earth 1 or Earth Prime. And Flash travels from this Injustice timeline of Ben Affleck, and he's like, well, Bruce Wayne disappeared. That's why he didn't appear in Harley Quinn's movie. That's a nice way of retconning or reverse engineering his disappearance. And Superman is AFK, or he's disappeared as well. And I'm here to warn you, your Earth Prime, that a threat from the Injustice timeline is coming, which is Darkseid, or whatever you want to do. You can use Flash as a portal between these two worlds. That way you can release the Snyder Cut, and we can actually see why the Snyder Cut verse is dead, because Darkseid's invading everything and destroying everything. And then Flash, because we know Run Barry Run, he just comes back to time, but he just accidentally breaks the time and space barrier and goes to this other universe, which is the Pattinson verse, etc. So yeah, I don't know if you got my
I got
idea.
it. I got it. I respect that a lot, actually. That's not bad. Thank you for that, Kareem.
Yeah, no problem.
Vega.
Let's see, man. If they give us the Snyder Cut, will it stop there?
Damn, bro. You gonna be okay?
I don't think it will, bro. And I'll tell you why. I think it feels as if the right move is to move on. That's all they want to do. But I strongly believe, like, it all comes down to the voice of the people, right? I strongly do believe that, unfortunately, for BVS and Man of Steel, it came out in a time where I gotta honestly say, I don't think DC fans or anybody that really enjoyed those films, I don't think they were loud enough. I don't think they even knew they could have a voice online, because I know I didn't. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I could only speak for myself. Like, all I know is that when those movies came out, I had no clue that the internet was there for you to boost up and praise the movies. I had no idea. If I would have known, I would have been, every day, like, yo, but I didn't know that. So I'm really convinced, like, this time around, if they gave us the Snyder Cut, right, let Snyder do his thing, I really feel like it's going to be such a great movie, especially if it's anything to what I think Because obviously, yeah, we got what Zach told, like has been revealing. A lot of it after that is just what can we piece together? You know what I mean? From what he said, where is he really taking us? So personally, from what I think, from what he said, and what he's revealed, where I think he's taking us, if that's the story we're getting, or anything close to that, then I really believe people are going to realize, like, oh, wait, this was the Justice League we were supposed to see. This is what all the hype was about. Yeah, I'm for this. I'm really for this. And then keep in mind also, Justice League is not the last piece of work that we saw of Zack Snyder. BVS is. So that's what a lot of the fan base is going off of. That's a lot of what film fans, just people who just go for films, that's the last thing they got to go off of as far as Zack Snyder's work is concerned. So you can't really say Justice League was anything close to it, and for them to be like, oh yeah, I forgot that this is the reason I like Zack Snyder's films. I feel like when we get the actual Justice League of Zack Snyder, they're gonna be like, oh wait, this is the director. This is why I like 300. This is why I like Watchmen. This is why I like Man of Steel, BVS. It's this. I want more of this. I want more of this. And I believe at this point, after that happens, seeing that now there's this knowledge of, hey guys, go tweet, go crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna happen, and the network has no choice but to see it and say, okay, I guess we're going back to that. Let's let Zack Snyder finish it, because in the end of the day, Zack Snyder said it himself. Like, he had no intention of like sticking around for the whole thing. He just wanted to tell his story and let these other directors do what they want with these characters, and let them do their thing. Which, if they just let Zack finish his story, they can easily do that. And if they finish it the way I think they're gonna finish it, they can easily do this whole, I guess, rebirth of sorts with the DCEU, if that's what they have intended. Again, hard to say, because they keep saying the opposite of that. They keep going out of their way to tell us, oh, we're not trying to create a connected universe. That's not what we're trying to do, which is fine. But you guys kind of already did, you know what I mean? So finish that.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? And let just be done with that chapter. And I can guarantee you're going to see, oh, this is what we should have done from the jump. Like, we should have just stuck to this, let Zack Snyder finish it. Because that story was going to come around full circle. That's just the reality. Like, when you look at what Zack Snyder had in it's like Lord of the Rings. It's like Star Wars. You can't get the full gist of the story arc by just watching one of the episodes. No, you got to watch episode 3, 4, 5, and 6 all together to get the full story arc. Or you got to watch the 1, 2, and 3 to get that full story arc. 7, 8, 9 to get that full story arc. You know what I mean? That was what Zack was trying to do with his, I guess, DC universe. Had they just let him do that, they would have seen, oh man, and they're gonna see it, is what I'm trying to say. I guess what I'm trying to say is they're gonna see it once they release it. If I'm not gonna say if, once they release it, they're gonna see, like, man, this is what we should have been sticking to all along.
Man, I love that positivity. I love that positivity of it all.
I have both feet on both sides. Like, my first idea was going with what Karim said, and the other one was basically what Vega said.
I mean, they're both. I think that they're both. As long as we get the Snyder Cut, I think that both of those things are possible. And for me, I think that I just want to see the Snyder Cut and then see from there. I just release it and then let us be the judge. Right. Let the people be the judge, and then from there, I think that it'll be much clearer for the studio what to do. I think that right now it's a tough time because maybe they do want to move forward, but I think that the Snyder Cut movement that just keeps growing and that just keeps putting pressure makes them think twice as well. So I think that releasing the Snyder Cut, I think that it's going to also be able to give a lot of people closure, and it'll make it easier for us or for other fans to be able to be like, you know what? And also, I think honestly, it will help a lot towards healing a lot of wounds, because I think that that's the thing that we haven't really said, is that a lot of people were hurt by Justice League. Not just Zach and his family. We know all about that tragedy, but I think a lot of ways, a lot of people felt that WB's decisions to go the direction that they went to was kind of telling them that they didn't matter. Was telling them that, we know you guys are fans, but we want those people to be fans more than we want you to be fans.
Exactly. Thank you.
And I think that's why you see a lot of what you're seeing today towards that studio. A lot of people feel that it was almost personal what happened. A lot of people took it to heart, and I think that releasing the Snyder Cut will, in fact, take care of a lot of those hurt feelings and bring people back to the fold and be more open-minded about the other plans, because they felt that the studio listened to them, that the studio cared enough about them to give them something that they wanted so desperately. I think that's what's important, and that once that's done, then I think that it'll be easier for everyone to move forward, because like you see it, like I think you guys mentioned earlier about the division and people being on different sides, people wanting to move forward and enjoy the new stuff, and people being like, hey, if we keep enjoying the new stuff, they're never going to give us the Snyder Cut because they'll think that we've moved on. But if you release the Snyder Cut, I think that it allows people to be able to be like, you know what, I can enjoy this new stuff as well, because you guys listened to me. You guys cared enough about me, and I think that that's important. It's just basic customer service,
Customer service. It's all right.
Exactly. Man, I think we've gone on a little bit longer than intended, but it was such a great conversation. I'm so happy that we got to do this. I got very lucky because I got a great cast with me. Honestly, thank you all for taking the time and bringing your passion and just talking with me for the past hour and a half, or however this thing ends up being after the edit. But I really enjoyed this conversation, and I enjoyed every single one of you. And I really hope that we keep in touch, that we keep talking to one another, keep getting to know each other, and you guys have a standing invitation to the Exiles Network podcast whenever you like, because I would love to talk with you guys more from today on, whether it be about the Snyder Cut or other movies or whatever you guys want to. I would love to have you on. So before we sign out, why don't you guys give people your ads, let people know where they can find you, where they can reach you, where they can converse with you. Karim, go first.
It's at Mia San Kronos. It's MIASANKRONOS on Twitter. And on Instagram, it's easy4Karim. KARIM.
Thank you, Karim. Marcelo, what about you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter, where I'm all about the Snyder Cut, at _sing_pausa. And if you want to, you can check a small fun edit that I did about BBS there. So if you want to, you can check that over there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marcelo. And Vega, what about you? The man behind the idea.
We're all behind this idea, man. We're all behind it. Twitter, you can find me at this. What is my Twitter? Hold on. This Vega the Boss. This Vega the Boss. Capital T, capital V, capital B. At this Vega the Boss. If you're looking for me on Twitter, it's just Vega the Boss. That's pretty much it. I mean, Instagram. I'm sorry. Instagram is Vega the Boss. My Twitter is this Vega the Boss. Twitter is where I go mostly for the fandom, for the movement. I mean, that's really all I have a Twitter for, really. But if you're interested in anything else that I have to offer, my Instagram, I said, Vega the Boss. You can even find me on YouTube. I believe under Vega. I think that's all I have for that. And yeah, man, like I said, I rap earlier, so get into that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Just a big thank you to you guys, and a pleasure being here.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
nice to meet you all, guys. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Yeah,
Karim,
I agree.
Manu.
All
Release
right.
the Snyder Cut.
Really-
It's the Snyder Cut.
And you can find me at ManUnited0710 on Twitter. You can reach the Exiles Network at the Exiles Net. You can also reach the Film Exiles at the Film Exiles, and you should follow the Film Exiles YouTube page as well. I want to thank every single one of you that came on tonight, that came and shared your thoughts and your ideas and your hearts and your passions. And to everybody else that's out there in the movement, thank you for everything that you've done, for all the money you've donated, for all the time that you've given, for every single retweet, because everything that you do matters. We've created something, and I am so proud to be part of this movement, and I am so proud of what we've done and what we'll continue to do. I wish that I could tell you today that I knew with absolute certainty that we were getting closer and closer every day to getting the cut. I wish I could do that because you all deserve it for everything that you've given. I wish I could do that, but I can't. All I can do is ask you to continue to keep fighting, to continue to be kind to one another, and to remember that we are all heroes, and we'll continue to do so. So, with all of that said, release the Snyder Cut.
Release the Snyder Cut.
You're goddamn right.
This is
Hey.
Show the tattoo again. Show the tattoo again.
Hey.
Awesome. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you, guys.
Good night, guys.